One thing I wanted to know about Ryan Kelly is whether he wants to continue to play. And so you'll hear it. I asked him how he feels about next year, and he's really succinct. Afterward, he wasn't so succinct, and he made it clear that he's coming back. But here's Ryan Kelly cleaning out his locker again. He's been to the playoffs twice during his time with the Indianapolis Colts, and I think he genuinely thought, and you're going to hear it, that the Colts needed to be in the playoffs and deserved to be in the playoffs and will get to the playoffs in the future.
Yeah, just talked to Tony for a good while and kind of doing some looking back, and I think look back at April when he got here. The group that walked into that room again was pretty beaten and feathered and tarred, and to come back and to end the year on a high note, not so much in the game, but from where we were to where we are now, I think is really impressive, and a lot of credit to the guys in the room, in the locker room, who have recommitted, through Shane's process, and it's obviously a tough ending, but I think that the steps we made this year were really impressive, and just couldn't be prouder of the guys around me. Jeez, is it?
What changed this year? I mean, you talk about, the difference. What was it?
No, I mean, I think, there's nothing really you can point to that's very obvious. I think it's the coaching staff certainly. I said for weeks now was when Shane got here, the level of commitment that he wanted from each player execution wise, but he also hired staffs that believe in their players. Tony. You're not going to find a guy in here who's not going to run through a wall for that guy, because he believes in us as players. He believes that he wants the best out of us, and he also pushes us to be the best players that we can be. So I think when you get a coach like that and you've got a room that's recommitted to being the best, proving people wrong that we're not the players they thought that we were, I think you're going to get something out of that. And it was ultimately everybody in that room who committed to being the best they could this year, and just playing well.
How did Tony kind of foster the mindset that if you need Wes to come in for you for a game, or Blake to come in, that you guys can keep playing to that same standard?
Yeah, I think it's the true dedication of a true great offensive line coach. You don't get many seats in that room, right? I mean, you only get so many guys who get dressed out on game day. So if you're in there, you're for a reason. Danny breaks his ankle last preseason game, so Wesley, not much NFL experience, go in there and play well. And I think it also it shows that no matter who's in there, whether it's Blake filling in, the rest of us are still in there, or vice versa, that no matter who's in there is going to hold the standard up for that guy. And I think every single week that we were in here, we made sure the standard was always the standard. I think those guys did a great job of understanding that, and as young players in the league coming in, understanding that I think is huge for them, and they really improved all year.
Have you ever gotten used to the suddenness of it's over? You're not getting ready for it.
I feel like it's always harder when you on that cusp of what you thinking the season could be and turn into. I feel like it definitely hit harder this year, just because the team that we have, all the adversity that we faced and all the naysayers early in the year, to come back and to play really well throughout the entire year. Maybe not perfect at times, but to still control your own destiny and then kind of end the way it did. It always just seems like it's, you go from a million miles an hour on that roller coaster to complete stop, so it's always a little tough.
And then what happened Sunday, you guys a little bit playing at home this week. You just got to rub it in more. How close you are.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, nothing you can do about it now, you know what I mean? But I think you look in, I think some of the, just natural reflection as you look back at, like I said before, where we were a year ago to where we are now. I mean, guys' lives have changed. Guys are in different places, and certainly we're a much better unit, much closer unit than we were a year ago.
When you do look back and kind of reflect over the season, what are you most proud of?
Like I said, I mean, just the fact that room came back together. I mean, it was a broken room, and Tony brought us back together, cares about us. Guys are playing well. Guys are playing for each other. Guys are having fun. Those are the things you want out of life.
How you feeling about next year?
Great.
You played against a guy like Gardner Minshew before. Getting him in this locker room, what did you learn about Gardner and just the grit that he had pulling through all year? Yeah,
I mean, these guys been a pro since he got here, and I'm sure once they drafted Anthony, thinking you're going to be the backup the entire year, and to go in there and play a majority of the season, I think is very impressive, and just goes to show you that he's a true professional and he was ready for the job.
What were your impressions of Shane first year on the job?
He's great. I mean, I thought that from day one. He's a true professional. Demands excellence out of his players, but also wants to have fun doing it. And so, I think if you saw him after the game too, I mean, there was nobody more upset for his players than him. I mean, he wants it for his players. We want it for him. Everybody's playing for each other, and he made this team feel like a family. I think that's really impressive for year one.
That's Ryan Kelly. So I asked him how he feels about next year, meaning, are you going to play? He said, just great. Then after we got done talking, after everybody's talking, they're done asking their questions, somebody asked, hey, are you thinking about retiring? And he got a little bit surly and said he is not thinking about retiring. He's having too much fun, and that the people who are writing that he's going to retire are absolutely wrong. He wants to know what their sources are, who those might be. He isn't retiring. I thought it makes a little bit of sense, and we've talked about it a little bit about retirement and Ryan Kelly. He's a dad. He's suffered concussions. He's 30. He's made a lot of money. It did not sound like the rhetoric of a guy who was going to retire. In fact, it sounded like quite the opposite once he got to it at the end. When we were all done with our questions, he made it quite clear he isn't retiring.